do you want to both quickly introduce yourselves?
First. Oh, I'll start then. I'm Sandrine Ricard, Head of Sustainability at Chivas Borthers, which is part of Pernod Ricard, the second largest wine and spirits player. And you might wonder why I'm here today. But to talk about the Chivas Venture, which is a fund that we have to help social entrepreneurs.
Amazing. And Rita?
Hello everyone. I'm the head of acceleration at Maize. Maize is an impact investing company based in Lisbon. We act in three main areas. We have an impact investing fund, which is called the Mustard Seed Maize Fund, and that's the Instagram. Then we have an acceleration, so impact accelerator from working with startups from all over Europe, which is called MaizeX. And then we also do work with the public sector.
Okay, perfect. And I think, just to kind of clarify for everyone, what does impact mean for you, and how do you actually define what an impact company is?
So I can start with that. So I think that the crowd that we have here is quite familiar with the term, but at the same time, we always get this question, and it seems that different people have different opinions on what impact is. At Maize, we like to think about the definition that the impact management project uses, which is very simple. And basically, impact is just a change in a positive or a negative outcome that affects people or the planet. And then you look at that change in 5 dimensions, which is like, what outcomes are we talking about? Who are these outcomes affecting? So what kind of underserved people or the planet, which is considered always underserved?
Yep.
How much of these outcomes are being tackled and being influenced? Then what's the contribution of whatever you're doing to cause the impact? And finally, what are the impact risks involved with whatever you're trying to do? So we just like to think about it in this way. It's a change. It can be positive and negative, and you really need to look at it in these 5 dimensions to have a big picture and then manage it accordingly.
Okay.
So when we look for social entrepreneurs, we look to them to clearly identify an issue in whichever geography they are in. And look at how big of a problem that is and what type of solution they can bring, either socially and or environmentally.
Yeah. So working with these companies, is there anything different from a kind of standard company that doesn't have maybe impact at its core? Is there any kind of support or anything that they need that's different, especially at the really early stages?
Well, when we go through the Chivas Venture, we offer what we call an Accelerator week. And the feedback we got from the social entrepreneurs is they really loved it because it helps upskilling them in some areas, because you can't expect anyone to be 360 degrees. So that helps them out a lot.
But are there specific areas? Because, I mean, any startup can go on an accelerator, right? Is there something about, I mean, you specifically have an accelerator program for impact companies. What might be different from any old accelerator?
I would probably, in terms of difference, I would not go so much into the different areas they could be working on. I would probably just mention that the difference is the mission. So you're really very focused, values aligned in order to tackle a social or environmental mission. And that's what we're trying to do. And perhaps there is a higher pressure that maybe the non-impact businesses wouldn't have, even though they are definitely solving a market problem, of course. But perhaps this idea that you're really trying to improve someone's life that is underserved, once again, you're not just trying to make them have a better service in a way. You're really trying to impact and improve the quality of life of people, or really making sure that the planet is at a more sustainable stage. And I think that all this pressure and all this mission is what differentiates a company. Everything else would probably be the same in our perspective.
But so from an investment point of view,
Yep.
I mean, you want these companies to have an impact, but you also want them to make money, right? So are there things that founders need to take into account when they're kind of structuring the business or when they're taking investment to make sure that, you know, that they can make money and have an impact, and those two things won't kind of conflict?
We talk about the lockstep model. And the lockstep model is basically when your company has a business model that is completely intertwined with your impact model. So the more you sell, the more impact you're creating, because the two things are aligned, and it's the purpose of that company. And so as long as those things exist, you know, it just makes sense, and you know, the more impact you're creating, the more money you generate.
What are some good examples that both of you have seen of companies that have that, where the kind of more good you do, the more money you make, and vice versa?
Yes, they have to be sustainably, financially viable.
But some specific companies, maybe?
Yes. So first of all, we are going to have later on a pitch stage where the startups from the first cohort of MazeX will present, and I invite you all to go. It's in the pitch area at 5. And there you will be able to see concrete examples and meet the entrepreneurs. But to give you an example, and we're also here in our booth, so feel free to come stop by. But an example, for example, of someone who is here, renters, for example, like they're trying to change the way we consume products. So instead of buying, which is the usual, it's the standard, right? Like we go on holidays and we go and buy a camera that perhaps we use twice a year. So instead of just, you know, having the impulse of buying, they're trying to promote the rental amongst all of us. And so they created a platform which allows, well, first of all, there's a peer-to-peer model where I can rent you my camera, you can use it, and I can use your surfboard, whatever. But this is also a great model for businesses, because there are a lot of businesses that also rent these products, and so they are very interested in using it as a platform and as another means to sell to other clients. And from an impact perspective, you know, the more products that are rented, the less products that are being bought for an unnecessary usage. And this is obviously great for the environment. And so the more transactions that this platform has, the less products are being manufactured and bought unnecessarily. So impact for the planet in this case.
I can give the example of Xelinat, which was one of our past contenders and winners, where he addressed not only help the environment and the local economy by helping local farmers getting rid of their agricultural waste to provide a substitute for sugar, and which is particularly helpful for diabetics.
Okay. So and at the next stage, once people have kind of been through your scheme or been through accelerators, what needs to happen for these companies to grow kind of bigger, grow faster, have more impact? Is, you know, what's missing from this impact ecosystem that would assist them kind of as they get further along?
So I don't really know what's missing, to be fair. I think that, you know, the conditions are set. The impact entrepreneurship ecosystem is, in my opinion, very similar to the traditional ecosystem, entrepreneurship ecosystem.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that it's this trend of consumers being more conscious, the employees wanting to, you know, especially marked by the millennials, wanting to have a purpose in what they do, the investors understanding that investing in companies that are more impactful, more sustainable, represent in practice less risk, and therefore they are better investments. These trends are recent, which is influencing also the development of the market. But I think that these are the basic characteristics that we need for the impact companies to flourish. Because, I mean, these are the dynamics of the market. So I think that this is the main aspect, and each of these three pillars is increasing the consciousness of them. So again, great for the startups. In terms of support that the startups need, I mean, financial support, again, it's increasing year by year. I think it's, just a matter of like us having more companies being built. In case of success, it's just a matter of time and us continuously working. Non-financial support, I think that, again, with an increasing number of companies being born and successful cases, the traditional entrepreneurship actors will move into this area. And I think that it's just a matter of like having some time. I actually don't think that there's anything particularly different from anything else. I just think that this is a great market. It's, looking at social or environmental problems is just a great economic opportunity, And of course, it's a little bit more challenging than some others. So some other markets, let's call it this way, because you have this mission attached. So you failing, your company failing, may mean that then you are not able to improve people's lives or, help the planet to recover and, after like try to save us all in a way. But again, I think it's just a matter of us, all as consumers, as employees, as investors, all of us are the three things. Being conscious and talking more about it. And I think it's just a matter of time, honestly.
Do you agree?
I do agree with what you said, of course. I'd say also more simplicity for them to be able to set up, less bureaucracy in general, because sometimes that might be a hindrance in getting things started. Sometimes regulations kind of put a brake on different areas. So I know that's out of our remit, but those are things also I think that might be difficult for. Then in terms of, they spend a lot of time also in pitches, and so how can we simplify that as well?
When do you reckon we're going to get our first? I mean, people talk about unicorns in the standard startup world. When are we going to start? And you're kind of hinting at the idea we need role models, we need big success stories in the impact space, and more people think this is a possibility. Who are some good contenders?
So I think that actually in this area, like the practitioners of working at impact are a bit divided with the idea of unicorns, because sometimes like unicorns promote this, maximize shareholders' wealth and just, caring about valuation. And I understand that. But for example, at Maze-X, actually, we really say, we use the motto of like creating impact unicorns in the making, sorry. And the idea here is we want to just like make sure that these companies are as big as possible, not necessarily having the valuation. To answer your question, I think that in terms of areas, so hinting for specific companies, I think it's a little bit unfair. We have great cases. I mean, in the stage over there, we had Patagonia, which is a great role model. But in terms of areas, perhaps, that are going to be great, and that are already extremely relevant, and that I'm pretty confident that we'll have big companies growing in these areas, are probably education and employability. Mm-hmm. I mean, currently in the job market, we see a big mismatch between the qualifications of people and what the market is requiring. Again, it's a problem, and at the same time, it's a great opportunity. And this is why we have so many companies requalifying people through IoT bootcamps, for example, coding bootcamps. And there's a lot of work being done at the younger stage, like of education. So this is one area. Another one is in the sustainability, and I mean, here we have so many cases. So companies that are changing the way we produce things that we consume, and they are also changing the way that we consume.
Yep.
But Yeah.
Any pick one area you think we're going to see some big impact success stories, one sector?
I think in the environment is something that we should look into more, not just because of the business I come from, but I think looking at agriculture is something that we haven't touched a lot upon. So that's an area I would like to see a lot more in the future, particularly given if the when the population will be growing, we predict by 33% till 2050, we'll need more food, more water. What are the solutions there?
Yeah. Okay, amazing. I think we're out of time. We are almost out of time. So thank you very much. And we're now going to have a fireside chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.